Are you having first date woes? I got you. What's going on, everybody? And I'm your host, Marcus, and this is another episode of Marcus Speaks. If you're new to my channel and not already subscribed, go and do so. And please hit that bell icon so you can be notified for each new episode. If you're already subscribed, please share and tell somebody about the movement going on this channel. Please go to Facebook and look me up at Marcus Speaks. Go to Instagram and look me up at marcus.speaks.podcast, and also on Twitter at Marcus Speaks Podcast. This channel here is to save one relationship at a time and one mind at a time. This isn't just my show, this is your show. Go to the comment section with some positivity and keep this conversation going. So let's get into today's topic. It's another banger as usual. So today's topic is first date rules. So I was doing some research today about like what all to do about like when you go on a first date. So I had to go back in my past and how I handle first dates and like what other people think about and how to handle being on a first date. As though first dates can be stressful because you're trying to impress the person that you're dating or going to start dating. You also want to put a good foot forward so you can try to impress them a little bit. Not come off as somebody that you're not, and you want to impress the person. So what I came up with and what I thought about with my own personal dating and stuff is it's sometimes first dates work, sometimes they don't. So it's all up to the person that you're dating. That if they like you enough to go out on another date or whatever. But let's stick to the first date rules and let's see where we go from here. So the first thing I came up with is ask what the interests are for dating options. So basically, if you're texting or calling the person back and forth and you guys are trying to establish getting together or whatever, you want to find out what the person likes. You want to find out what the person is into, so you as the person that's coming up with the date can figure out what to do on the date. So when you're on the date, this is what you should do as a guy. As a guy, you shouldn't be late. That's key, because it shows that you're punctual. It shows that you're that you want to spend time with this person, that the person that you're on a date with isn't a second option. So always show up early, always. That's key. So it shows your interest in the person, that maybe if you're not picking the girl up and she's meeting you at either a restaurant or something fun that you guys are doing, then maybe you should get there a little early. So I would say, if you're nervous, also show up either at the restaurant or any place that you're at that might have a little alcohol. I won't say drink a lot of alcohol, just have like a cup and a half maybe. Drink before your date shows up. Just drink just a little bit so you can loosen yourself up, so you can feel good about what's going on the date. So also what I came up with is playing the date out. Find stuff to do. like just like think about it before the date goes. So because basically you don't. I find out that when you plan like a fun activity in, such as like mini golf or, bowling or something like that, it keeps you active. It doesn't keep you just at a table looking at the person in their face, being awkward. So, just plan fun stuff to do, some type of activity or whatever. You don't want to just sit down and just talk all night or whatever, which is fine. But the initial thing that you want to do is when you're on a date and you're on an activity, you guys can talk back and forth a little bit while you're doing the activity. I find that bowling is best because you both get to take turns. You both can talk to each other while each person is bowling. So just to make some fun. So basically, like, if you're bowling and she like shouts out like to try to mess you up so she can win, that's something that you can find out that is fun or whatever. You can at the end of the night you can reflect like, yeah, I had fun, whatever, you yelling out and whatever. So with that, sometimes dinner and a movie is key because it's simple. It's a simple date, but depending on what movie you're seeing, you're not spending a lot of time talking. So, if you want to get the pressure off of you and do this is what I usually do. I usually do the movie first because when you get to dinner, you guys can talk the rest of the night. So, if you're planning a date, let's say dinner takes about an hour and a half because of you waiting for your food and stuff like that, you guys eating and you want to talk a little bit after you finish your meal. I would say that a normal dinner and a movie date takes like 3 hours, depending on what movie you're seeing. So I would say between 3 to 4 hours dinner and a movie date can last. If it's like a like you're taking her mini golf or bowling or what have you, that can probably last if you're getting either food at where you're at or if you're going to a restaurant, that can take like 3 to 4 hours also. So a prime date like pickup time is between 6 and 8. You don't want to go out too late. If you go out too late around like 9, that's mostly what you can. The only thing you can mostly do at 9 is basically dinner and possibly a movie. But if you have like a lot of things to do, if you pick her up at 6, you take her and go and see a movie. Then you guys do an activity and then you do dinner. Then that should take like 4 or 5 hours maybe. Depending on, like I said, depending on where you're going to eat, what activities you're doing, and how long dinner takes. So, also, by all means, on a date, and I know that we're in the day and age where being on social media is something. The first thing you don't want to do on a date is be on your phone. If the person's boring, then cut the date short. You shouldn't want to waste somebody's time. You shouldn't want to sit on your phone and the person sees, because within that, when you're on a date and you're on your phone, that shows that you're disinterested. So if the person sees that you're on your phone, then it shows them that you don't have any interest in them. So that might cut the date short. So by all means, stay off your phone. If you have children, fellas, if you're dating a woman that has children, and let's say she has young children, then if she's on her phone, she's possibly texting. But you don't want to mistake her texting or calling. If anything, she should call. It shouldn't be a text, because that can come off as anything. She could either be on social media, or she could be texting her babysitter. But ladies, the key, if you're on a date and you're and you have children, then you should call to show that you're only making a quick phone call, and you're making a quick phone call to check on your child, and then you're off your phone, and then the rest of the night is the person that you're with. So please stay off your phones. Fellas, please be a gentleman. Pull out chairs, open doors. And I would say with that, okay, so let's say you pick her up at her house. This isn't key, but it shows that her hand, while she's with you, her hands will never touch the door. So open up her car door when you pick her up. Open up the car door when you get to wherever you're going. Open up the venue door of where you're going, or a restaurant. When you get into a restaurant or any place that you're going that has chairs that can be pulled out, that's not actually, like, let's say you're not sitting in a booth, pull her chair out. Let her sit down first, then you sit down. It shows the gentleman quality in you. Also, if you're sitting at a booth, the same thing applies. Let her sit down first. Let her choose where she wants to sit. Let her sit down first, and then you sit down. That's being gentlemanlike. So, if you don't want to listen to anything that I'm saying right now when it comes to that, fellas, then please disregard anything I just said as far as being a gentleman. If you don't want to pull out chairs, open doors because you feel like it's tiring, then by all means don't do it. You're not obligated to do it, but it shows that you're a gentleman to the lady that you're taking out. Okay, so the choice of the bill at either dinner, when you get to the movies, but in these cases now, see, when I was dating back when I was in my early 20s, there wasn't stuff readily available for like phone purchasing and stuff like that. Like you could do Fandango, but you had to go on your computer for that, or your phone or something like that, or whatever. But nowadays you can just easily go on your phone to whatever movie theater you're going to, either if it's Regal, Cinemark, or whatever, or AMC theaters. They easily have apps that you can purchase tickets off of. So as far as like splitting the bill, going Dutch as they say, or the man paying for everything, this coincides with being a gentleman. If you feel as though that you should be paying for everything, fellas, and then by all means you should have the whole date planned out. You should have tickets already bought. You should have the time already set for when you're picking a girl up, so you can be wherever you're at on time. And just split everything down the middle. Sorry, pay for everything, but if she feels as though that she doesn't want you to pay for everything on the first date, then split everything down the middle. Go Dutch. I personally, myself, it doesn't matter. I'll either pay for everything or if it's up to the girl that she wants to go Dutch, then we'll go Dutch. But mainly, I pay for everything. So when you're at dinner, things can get awkward. Or if you're, doing whatever activity, things can get awkward because you're trying to come up with conversation. So for everyone listening, the key is don't take the date too seriously, and make sure that you're engaging within the conversation. And also ask questions, but the questions that you should not be asking on the first date, because you don't know how this date's going to go. So you're going to gather all this information up about this person, and then when the date's done, you really don't like them like that. So you just wasted your time asking all these questions. So the questions to stay away from when you're dating is how much they make, where they work, and well, you can ask where they work, but I would take the how much do you make out of the conversation, because at the end of the day, it's none of your business how much the person makes. If the person picks you up, it doesn't matter what kind of car they drive, because you've seen them pick you up in the car. But if you meet them somewhere, leave this out of the conversation. What kind of car do you drive? Because that also coincides with how much do you make. So if fellas, is for girl, you're on a date with a girl, and you're having a conversation, and the girl brings up, so what kind of car do you drive? After you tell her that, she's determined how much you make a year. So if you say you drive a BMW, then she calculates that in her head. Stay away from those questions by all means. If you guys are on the date and whatever person asks, where do you live? That's also none of their business, because you don't know if you like this person. So now you done told them about where you live at, what car you drive, how much you make. Then the person has some type of ulterior motive within themselves to get you to do something for them. So leave these questions out of the picture on the first date. I will say, if you guys are hitting it off well, go on a second date, those types of questions are good for the third, if not fourth date. So please take what I just said, and please use it, because at the end of the day, you're not really hurting anybody or whatever. You basically didn't gather that much information about the person, so you really don't have anything to go off of to see if you like them yet or not. So you can still go out on dates to see if you like the person. Stay away from talking about yourself. You don't have to give a biography of who you are. Don't make it awkward. When I was probably 21, I felt like I accomplished a lot, which I didn't. But I used to talk about myself a lot, and I would see that it was turning the girls away. So I practically started seeing my patterns of what I was doing, and then I basically changed it. So it's best when you're if you do talk about yourself, it's best not to put yourself down, because that shows that you're unsure of who you are. So if you're unsure of who you are, then the person that you're dating will be unsure of who you are also. So stay away from a biography. You don't need to give an autobiography on the first date. And just lighten up, have fun, make jokes, stuff like that. You don't want to sell yourself off or whatever because you're on your first date. I understand you probably might like the person, you want to do a second date, but it's not good to give all of yourself on one date. Spread it out, because over time, when you start liking the person a lot and that person starts liking you a lot, then they have something to go off on when you go on the next date, because the more mysterious you are, the more intrigued the person is. So by you not giving a lot of who you are up, it gives you the it gives you the leverage of them wanting to know more. So also dress to impress. Usually if you're on a date, depending on where you're going, I would say if it's just dinner and a movie, casual dress is fine. If you're going to a nice restaurant, maybe I would say do the semi-casual. So just do like a nice collar shirt, some jeans, and a nice shoe. If it's just like an activity such as like bowling or mini golf, just a regular t-shirt and some jeans would do fine. Maybe a hat or so. But yeah, dress to impress, because the first impression is always the lasting impression of you. So the first thing that they see of you and they think of you within the first impression, then that's what they'll get from you. And if they like it, then you have a chance. So plan when you what time you want to have the date. Either if it's afternoon, late afternoon, or evening, because depending on what their situation is, make sure you ask, if I pick you up at this time, will it be any issue? So let's say you want to spend the day with the person and you want to pick them up in the afternoon. So you have to find stuff to do to fill time during your afternoon date if you want to spend the day with the person. So good options are zoos, aquariums, and walking in the park and stuff, grabbing a little something to eat. You can do lunch when you first pick the person up and then go to these various places. Or if you want to do late afternoon, a good thing to do is you can go probably go-karting or something like that, just to fill time up if you want to spend the day with the person. Evening, then that's when you get into the dinner and the movie, or just dinner, or you can just go bowling. Make the date memorable for the lady, and remember when you drop her off, she's gonna call her friends. So when she goes in the house. So basically what I'm saying here is, fellas, when you take girls out on dates, her girlfriends already know about you. So if you make the date memorable, you'll get you'll get another date, but you'll also look good within her friends' eyes. If she talks highly about you, then her girlfriends think highly about you too. Because remember, females tell their friends everything. So they talk about the first date, the first time y'all kissed, first time y'all had sex, what have you. Females talk about everything. So make the date memorable, so when she goes in the house at the end of the night and she calls her friend, or the next day when she calls her friend, she can give you a good grade of how you did, and then her friends can be like, okay girl, well you should go out on another date with her. Try to make the connection, but don't force it. When you're meeting somebody and you're talking to them and you're out on a date, you want to try to make a connection between you two. But don't force a connection. Like, don't be like so excited and head over heels that you fumble. Try to get some type of connection to where you guys can both see each other on an even playing field, so you guys can determine if you guys like each other or not. So most of you may think, well, I should like you if I'm out on a date with you. Well, you don't know if you like the person that much yet. You might think that you like the person a lot, but you're not sure yet. That's what the first date's for. So that's when you want to try to make the connection on if you want to continue with this friendship to make it into a relationship. So also don't talk negatively about yourself or anything else. It comes off as rude, and it comes off that you're a negative person. Because if you're talking about yourself and you put yourself down, then the person is going to think that you're a negative person and you don't know how to it makes them feel as though that you're not confident about yourself. So by all means, positivity will take you a long way. Like, don't put yourself down. Don't make yourself feel as though that you're not able to be around this person. Like, make sure that you stay positive and see where it goes from there. Ladies, let your natural beauty show. Don't wear too much makeup. The reason why I say this is because some girls wear caked up makeup. So, and by all means, I'm not being rude right now, but what I'm trying to say is that a man wants to see your natural beauty. So, me personally, I don't mind if you wear eyeshadow, blush, or lipstick. But if you're wearing foundation to cover up beauty marks and stuff like that, I understand. But myself personally, I do want to see your natural beauty, because you can look like a dime, with that makeup on, but underneath you could look like a mud duck. But I'm not judging you just off of your looks alone, but I do want to see what your natural face looks like. Because the reason why I started thinking about this is because I work in a medical manufacturing environment. So for the females, there's no makeup, no eyeshadow, no lipstick, no fake fingernails at all. So you get to see every female's natural looks. So from there, I started having a type of a thing to where I just wanted to see females in their with their natural face on. But I don't mind makeup. So I don't care if you wear makeup, but I do want to see your natural face every now and again. So fellas, listen to me closely, please. The first date ends when the girl gets out of her car and goes in her house. By all means, you are not gonna force yourself into that girl's house at all. You're not gonna try to persuade her to let you in so you guys can have a drink. The date ends when you drop her off at her house and you make sure she gets in her house safely. You are not to try to persuade yourself into that house unless she asks you to come in, or she asks, well, what are you doing? Like, I was just gonna go in the house and just watch TV if you want to come up. But I would say take that offer the next time. Don't do it on the first date, because then, well, hold on. Determining how the first date went, and if you're asked to come in, then stay, but don't stay for too long. But by all means, you're not going to, and you're not supposed to try to persuade or force your way inside of the house. So, also, if she invites you in, only stay like an hour, if not like 45 minutes. Because I don't want to say too much on this. Alright, fuck it. If you're in her house, make sure she makes every move on you. Give her a kiss, stuff like that. But if anything sexual happens, make sure she makes the first move first. You don't want to come off as a weirdo or a creep at all. So please, by all means, let her make the first move in her house. If you guys are going to your house, then go from there. Alright. So, okay, don't get too excited about the date. Excitement equals scarcity. So if you're overly jittery, overly smiling, and like just doing too much, then that shows, and ladies, you too, because that shows that you haven't had a date in a while, and you haven't really been on too many dates. So try to control the the smiles and stuff like that. Like, smile, but don't do it too much to where you're coming off as weird. But you can smile and give gestures and stuff like that, but don't overly do it to where it seems weird to the person. So alright, so follow the kiss rule on the first date. And the kiss rule is keep it simple, stupid. Keep everything simple. Don't try to be extravagant about the date. Don't try to do too much or whatever. Like, if you want, and I'll suggest this for certain, maybe the first date, if not the second. You can bring flowers, or a flower. A rose within itself can, make any woman happy. Or when you're talking to her and you ask her favorite flower before you go on the date, then go and get either like a dozen or just one, flower or whatever. Keep your mind on the date. Don't seem disinterested. Keep your mind on basically what's going on. So if you're elsewhere within your mind or whatever, try to stay focused on what's going on with the date. You can handle everything that you got going on with yourself later when you're not in front of this person. But it does seem rude when you're on a date and you're not really interacting with the person that much. It can make the other person feel like you don't like them, or it can make the person feel that you're you're not interested in what's going on the date. You're not within the moment of the date. So try to seem as interested as possible, because then the person finds that you're a good listener, and you are you're on top of the topics, and you're talking about stuff to where you seem very interested within the other person. Don't futurize the person in front of you. Stay within the moment. So, have y'all ever just looked at somebody and you basically had that daydream where you saw yourself getting married to the person, you saw yourself having kids with the person, you saw other things. Don't futurize what's going on the first date, because you don't know what's going to happen on the first date when you meet this person. So by all means, futurizing the person, that could lead you with a broken heart, not the person. So by all means, don't futurize, stay within the moment. If you have any type of game to play, let's say you're not a social butterfly at all, and you don't really have or if you're nervous, try to have a wordplay game. Or me myself personally, I have a card game right here that I'm showing right now. I have a card game called Mentally Stimulate Me. I have 4 out of the 6 decks that's showing right here. And it's fun because it opens up a dialogue between you guys, and it has wild out in the open topics, and the way you play the game is interesting. So how you play the game is basically you pick a card, you read what's on the card, and then it has multiple choice questions. You have 4 cards in your possession, A through D, and basically the premise of the game is when you pick whatever answer you have, and then y'all flip y'all's cards over, and then basically you ask the person why they picked that answer, and you can have them expound on why they picked that answer, and it can take hours between you two talking about one card. So it opens up a dialogue. You get to learn about the person a little bit, and it's a fun game at that. So what else do I have? If you had any fun on the date and you want a second date, just show appreciation. Just be I had fun, I hope I can see you again and take you out again, or the girl's I would love to go out again, whatever. Then that's cementing you into getting a second date. So if they're showing their gratitude, you're showing your gratitude, and you're showing your appreciation of them spending some time with you, whatever, having fun with you, then the date went well. You have nothing to fear, you have nothing to worry, because the person is now interested in you and they want to go out on a second date. So with that being said, you go and plan the next date. You ask them, when are they free? When can they come out again? What day is good for you? I'm off this day. I have weekends off. Just try to come up with some type of, of a time to try to be with this person, to take them out on the next date. So, the first date determines if you'll get another. So with this, you want to stay confident, you want to be yourself, you want to pay attention to body language, and listen up to anything your date has to say. because you might learn something while they're talking. Like, you don't personally need to ask them, certain question, ask them questions to get to know them. You might hear something that they're saying that allows you to come up with a question that you want to ask the person. So yeah, by all means, pay attention to body language, because they might be giving you, they might be saying something to you without words that you can see, that you can expound on and try to or take something from. So by all means, pay attention to what they're saying, and pay attention to what they're not saying also. Stay confident within being there, because it shows that you have a strong head on your shoulders. It shows that you're aware of yourself. It shows that you don't have any type of other qualms about yourself. You're very confident of who you are, and it shows strength. And be yourself. If you're a goofy person, be a goofy person. If you're silly, be silly. If you feel as though that you're a house comedian, be that house comedian. Make them laugh. Like, make them feel comfortable around you. Because the more comfortable that they feel around you, the more comfortable that they'll be the next time you guys go out. So, it'd be just, like, hey, I like it. Okay, so if the date goes well, you'll get a kiss at the end of the date, because that coincides with body language. If the body language is at the point where they're showing you that they're very interested, and they might, they're giving off like a look or a wink or something, then that determines that you could get a good night kiss, and the second date is within the making. So by all means, do everything I just said with being confident, staying yourself, pay attention to body language, pay attention to what they're saying, and you might get a kiss out of everything. All right, so there's a list of questions that I found that you don't have to use all on the first date. And they're fun questions. There are questions that you can probably ask like one of these questions, and then use the rest of the questions at the end or not at the end, but on every day. You can use it's a list of 10. You can use 1 or 2 questions every day. So the questions are: number 1, when do you remember having your first sexual thought about something? So I guess I can say, by me answering this question, I guess I can say my first sexual thought was probably in the 6th, if not 7th grade, maybe. First sexual thought. Have you ever had an awkward kiss? That's question number 2. My first awkward kiss was my second 7th grade girlfriend. If you won the lottery, what would you do with the earnings? I don't know. I'll probably buy a house and shit. Where do you like to vacation, or your favorite city, or a favorite place to go? So far, my favorite city is Pittsburgh. My favorite place to vacation in is Virginia Beach. I would like to go there every summer. And favorite place to go, to like a sushi restaurant. I like sushi, so favorite place to go. So, number 5 is, if you could relive a time in your life, what would it be? My 12th grade year, my senior year in high school. I would like to relive that whole year. I had fun. A lot of ups and downs, but it was fun. It was a fun year. This is a funny one. If you was a rapper, what would your name be, or what would the name you would give me? If I had to give myself a rap name, I guess it would be Big Mark or Markor. Either or, I don't know. If you had 24 hours to live, what would you do? I would try to rent a jet if I had those lottery earnings, and I would go to Virginia Beach. I would go to Pittsburgh, and I would probably go to Charlotte too, because I went to Charlotte, North Carolina, and they had a good sushi restaurant. So I'll probably zip down there to that sushi restaurant. What documentary or book have you read or watched that had a great impact on your life? There's 2 books for me. There's Message to the Black Man from the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, and the Malcolm X autobiography. Those are 2 books I read that changed my life. A documentary, While We Laugh. It talks about the history of black comedians, and what else? I would say it would probably be Zeitgeist. That is, I wouldn't say that's a documentary. It's probably like it's probably like a documentary. Zeitgeist. If you could trade lives with your favorite person, celebrity, or politician, who would it be? I would like to trade places with who do I feel that's interesting? I would have liked, when he was alive, is trade places with the late comedian Patrice O'Neal. I would have loved to trade places with him just for one day. He's a funny motherfucker, and like his philosophy about stuff is like right on point. So I would have liked to trade places with him. And if you could marry a favorite celebrity, politician, movie character, or celebrity, or book character, who would it be? Who would I marry? It's this girl that's on I follow her on Instagram. She's not a celebrity. She's like she was on All Def Digital's YouTube channel. Real pretty light-skinned black girl. Her name is Persephone. I think she's a real pretty woman, and if I could, I would marry her. And those right there are just 10 questions to ask. You know, just to try to break the ice on like on a first date, maybe a second date. You can ask these. You know, like it's just you trying to have fun with the person that you're with, because you know you got that far to the date that you wanted to spend time with them. Then you know that's what you do. You try to make yourself as interesting as possible, but you don't try to make yourself somebody else of who you're not. And I would say that's my final thought for that. So we're at the end of this podcast. Thank you for watching. Please hit me up on all social media platforms on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Marcus Speaks on Facebook, Marcus.speaks.podcast on Instagram, and Marcus Speaks Podcast on Twitter. Please like, comment, and subscribe on this video, and I will see you on the next one. And please hit that like button, and hit me up on social media too. I'm always free to talk if you want to message or just send jokes back and forth. But I'm your host Marcus, and this has been another episode of Marcus Speaks.